Listen. Wait. Did you catch that?
Catch what? You didn't say anything, Emma.
Exactly. And that is the perfect representation of the frustration we're discussing today. That blank feeling when you watch a movie without subtitles. You see the lips moving, but your brain isn't registering the sounds.
That hits home. It's the ultimate struggle for every English learner, no matter how much grammar they know.
But fast English isn't actually fast. It's just glued together. What is up, Convo East Squad? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Emma.
And I'm Alex. Today we are tackling the frustration English learners face.
Have you ever sat down to watch a Hollywood blockbuster, popped your popcorn, turned off the subtitles, and realized you only understood about 10% of what they said?
It's the worst feeling. You think, I've studied grammar for years. Why does it sound like they're speaking a completely different language?
Let's go for tip number 1. Tip number 1 is the glue of English, connected speech, also known as linking. In many languages, words stay in their own little boxes. In English, we mash them together.
It makes it so hard to tell where one word ends and the next begins. But there are 3 main types you need to know.
First, we have consonant to vowel linking. This happens when a word ends in a consonant and the next starts with a vowel. Give us an example, Emma. Take the phrase, "Would anyone like a cup of coffee?" In slow English, it's 7 distinct words, but a native speaker says, "Would anyone like a cup of coffee?" It sounds like one giant word, would anyone? Or even the proverb, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." We say, "an apple a day." This is huge for phrasal verbs too. We don't say look up, we say look up. We don't say put on, we say put on.
What about when 2 consonants meet?
That's consonant to consonant linking. If a word ends with a sound and the next begins with the same sound, we only say it once but hold it a bit longer.
Like black coffee?
Exactly. Not black coffee, but black coffee. Or this Saturday. Try saying have a good day. We link the D in good to day. Have a good day.
The last one for linking is assimilation. This is where 2 sounds collide to make a new sound. Usually a T or D plus a Y sound becomes a ch or ja sound.
Right. Nice to meet you becomes me too. And would you like some help becomes wilt you. It's like the words are holding hands. Exactly. They never want to let go.
If you try to separate them, you actually sound less natural.
Think of it as a smooth wave rather than a series of jagged steps.
It's all about keeping the breath moving without stopping between every single word.
Now, moving on to tip number 2.
Okay, so words are linked, but why do some vowels just disappear?
That brings us to word stress and the schwa. Every English word with 2 or more syllables has one stressed syllable. That one is longer, louder, and higher in pitch.
And the others?
The others get reduced. This is where the schwa comes in. It's the most frequent vowel sound in English. If a syllable is unstressed, the vowel usually turns into a tiny sound.
Give me some schwa magic examples.
Look at the word again, or about. That first A isn't an A sound, it's a schwa. Again, about.
And it changes depending on the word form, right?
Yes, this is a great tip. Take photograph. The stress is on the first syllable, photograph. But if you take photos professionally, you are a photographer. The stress moves to the second syllable, which changes every vowel sound in the word.
That is why learners get confused. The spelling is the same, but the rhythm changes the sound.
Think of the schwa as the lazy sound.
The sound your mouth makes when it doesn't want to work hard.
Precisely. If you overpronounce every vowel, you'll run out of breath.
So being a little lazy actually helps you sound more like a local.
It's the most common sound in the language, so you've got to master it.
Yes.
Let's dive into tip number 3. This is a big one. In American English, the letter T is a shapeshifter.
Seriously, guys, if you master the T, you master the American accent.
There are 4 main ways we say it. First, the pure T. We use this at the start of a word like time or table, or at the start of a stressed syllable like attention. You can feel the puff of air.
But what about the word city? I don't hear a puff of air there.
That's because of the flap T. When a T is between two vowels in an unstressed syllable, it sounds like a soft D.
So city, better, visitor, hospital. They all have that soft D sound.
Exactly. We even do it between words. Instead of wait a minute, we say wait a minute.
Now, here's a pro tip. To tell the difference between 13 and 30, look at the stress. In 13, the T is strong. In 30, the T is a soft D.
Then we have the stopped T. At the end of a sentence or before a consonant, we don't push the air out. Compare we and wait. The vowel in wait is shorter because the T stops the sound. I might go sounds like I might go.
It's like a sudden wall that the sound hits.
You prepare for the sound, but you never release the air.
It feels a bit strange at first, but it's how we keep our speed up.
And the most native sounding one? The silent T.
Yep, after an N in an unstressed syllable, the T often vanishes. Many Americans say international instead of international, and internet instead of internet.
Or even 20 becomes 20.
If you say winter like winner, don't worry. People will still understand you perfectly.
In fact, you'll sound like you've lived in the States for years.
Moving on to tip number 4. Emma, I see wanna and gonna in song lyrics, but my teacher tells me not to write them. What's the deal?
Great question. Tip number 4 is knowing the difference between contractions and reductions.
Contractions are the standard ones, right? I am to I'm. Do not to don't.
Exactly. Use them when speaking and in informal writing, but avoid them in formal exams like the IELTS or TOEFL.
But reductions are even more casual. These are only for spoken English.
Like going to becoming gonna, or want to becoming wanna.
It's all about moving quickly from one thought to the next.
Have got to reduces all the way down to gonna.
As in, if you want to get better, you gotta practice.
We also have kinda becoming kinda and sorta becoming sorta.
It's kinda cold outside. See how much faster that is?
I've also heard people just say gotta.
Cool.
Have got to reduces all the way down to gotta.
As in, if you want to get better, you gotta practice. Wait, Emma, there's a trick for can and can't here too, right?
Yes, and it actually leads us into our final tip.
Finally, let's look at tip number 5. This is the most important. Strong forms versus weak forms. English is a stress-timed language.
What does that mean for our ears?
It means we use stress syllables to create a rhythm. The time between one stressed syllable and the next is roughly the same, no matter how many words are in between.
Like a musical beat. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. To fit more words into those beats, we have to squish the function words, words like to, for, can, and at.
So go to the store becomes go to the store.
You're essentially prioritizing the important information, the nouns and verbs.
And rushing through the grammar words to stay on the beat.
It's like a song where the verses are fast, but the chorus is loud and clear.
If you stress every word equally, you'll sound like a robot.
And nobody wants that. We want that natural swing.
Yeah.
And here is the can versus can't secret. Can is a function word, so it's unstressed. The vowel disappears into a schwa. It sounds like I can do it.
But can't is a content word. It's stressed. We pronounce the full vowel, but we use that stopped T we talked about.
So if you hear a short, stressed vowel, it's can't. If you hear a tiny, disappeared vowel, it's can.
This one tip alone will save you so much confusion in daily conversations.
Wow, it really is a system.
Yeah.
It truly is. If you start listening for these patterns, the linking, the schwa, the flap T, and the rhythm, your listening skills are going to skyrocket.
Don't expect to hear it all overnight.
It takes a bit of ear training to catch these invisible sounds.
But once you start hearing them, you can't unhear them.
Your brain will start decoding movies automatically.
Remember, it's natural to try to use your native language's rhythm, but practicing these American English patterns is the key to finally understanding those movies without subtitles.
We want to hear from you. Which of these 5 tips was the biggest aha moment for you?
Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to Convo Ease for more tips.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!
Bye, everyone.